Welcome, everybody, to another episode of New World Report. I'm your host, Arthur. Now, I wanted to talk about Trump's travel ban. This I had to bring up because it was kind of getting annoying how it was going and coming back. It was in the news at one point. Now it's not in the news. It was in the, everybody was talking about it like a month or two back, and now it's coming back again. And the courts are gonna. It's pretty much halfway implemented right now. The countries that are under this ban are these countries that you see here: Syria, Iran, Libya, Sudan, Yemen, Somalia. And the courts have, I don't know what it means exactly that they halfway implemented it, but they're, I guess, letting some people from these countries in if they're related to you in a certain way, but not others. So then they're going to fully implement it after a hearing in October, is what I think I remember. But anyway, here's some ways that the whole thing makes sense, and here's some ways that it really doesn't make sense. And I was gonna, like I said, I had to put my few cents into this. Here's why it makes sense in some ways. Look at this. It's nationalities of terrorists, spying attacks in the EU. These are Danish, Italian, German, Dutch, Swedes, Belgian, and all these. There's so many French and Belgium are the most. Now, this might be kind of confusing to people because you would think, oh yeah, there's a bunch of Swedish guys, Vikings, Viking-looking dudes, or a bunch of French guys with cigars and mustaches running and doing terrorism. No, it's usually people from the Islamic faith, and these are usually immigrants. Originally they probably came from, depending on these countries, French, they probably came from North Africa, or maybe, Turkey and Belgium. Belgium, if you know something about Belgium, it's got a very, very relaxed immigration policy. You can go into Belgium and they pretty much won't kick you out. And so so look at it. These are all the attacks from 2006 to 2016, and it's been here 25 attacks in 10 years, most of them from Belgium and France. Now, this is why people are scared, folks. They don't want people coming in from some of these countries that might have bad backgrounds. In behind attacks in the EU, yes, probably in the Swedish one. I'm not sure if it was the Swedish one. There's one from Norway. I remember it was the one white guy that bombed this island full of he was a far right terrorist. I don't think he's on here because Norway's not on here. But those aren't the people we're talking about. We're talking about the majority. So there's a reason why they want to ban people. What doesn't make sense to me, though, because, look at all this. First of all, look at all these people going into Europe. All this huge immigration from where? From Syria. Actually, a lot of them are from north of Syria, from southeastern Europe, like Romania, or not Romania, I'm sorry. Anyway, don't quote me on that, but a lot of them are from southeastern South Europe, former Soviet countries. There's a lot of those people moving into the European continent, and there's also a lot of Africans and North Africans. See, a lot of these people in France, they're probably from North Africa due to the history, that France has a big connection to North Africa, the same way in Britain there's a connection to India and Pakistan. So there's a lot of Indian and Pakistanis in England, while in Germany there's a lot of Turkish people because immigration patterns that had been going on through the times. Now, here's what does not make sense on this thing. So I understand this idea that you need to be careful who you let go, who you let in to your country, but it's the wrong idea of who we have to let in. All right, this is a number of the 19 hijackers in America. I guess this is all where it started, right? This is where it all started, 16 or 17 years ago now, right? This is how the war on terrorism goes, is we had to take them out. Now there was 15 Saudis on that, 2 from the Emirates, 1 from Egypt, and 1 from Lebanon. Now, do you see any of these countries in this list here? No, you don't. None of them. Which is, especially Saudi Arabia is the most, ironic out of all this, where this wouldn't be in here. It's just kind of hilarious. But here's another little thing. You could say, this was before. This is not about what's going on right now. What's going on right now is Syria. We don't want people from Syria going in. These foreign fighters that were joining ISIS. Well, here's another number for you, which shows these are nationalities of foreign fighters. This is a very revealing tweet. Look, most of them are from Tunisia, right? Tunisians go to France. There's a lot of Tunisians from France. Saudi Arabia has the second most people. Russia, again, these are probably the Muslim people from the Islamic parts of Russia, like, southern Russia, or, and then there's Turkey, a bunch of are Turks, and then there's Jordanians, and then it says France. Now, like I said, there aren't many French, Western French people going over there, because most Western French people are Christians, and they're not going to go join a jihad in Syria, with the jihadis. Maybe they'll go against the jihadis with fellow Christians. I don't know, maybe that'll happen. But most of these French people are also probably, Moroccans, or Tunisians, or maybe even Turkish. So in a way, you should take this number down from France. Don't misinterpret that to say that they're all French guys with mustaches, or that kind of French. It's more like French people who used to be immigrants from one of these countries again. Let's not forget this one is Pakistan. All right, now look at this. This is the people that we've detained since the 9/11, whole event, the whole war on terror when that started. Most of them are Pakistanis, and then there's a lot of Egyptians. These are majority of the people that we've found, in this war of terror. In Afghanistan, of course, that has a lot to do with it. Look at how many Egyptians and people from Turkey and Jordan are in here. Yemen, yeah, Yemen. There's under 50 people from Yemen from these times. That kind of makes sense. But what doesn't make sense is they're still not. I'm sorry. I know this is all getting cluttered. I need a better way of looking at all these. They're not a part of this list. Saudi Arabia, which I think is the #1 sponsor. This is kind of out there now. Even there's been reports leaked that Hillary had said it, and Biden himself came out at some point saying Saudi Arabia and our quote unquote Gulf partners support a lot of these bad actors in Syria. But they're still on the list. Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, they're all on the list. Turkey, Jordan, UAE, Tunisia. These are where the majority of these people are coming from, who have committed, atrocities, terrorist activities, bombings, shootings. It makes sense what they're trying to go after, but what does not make sense is who they're going after, and where they're banning these people from. I understand Syria should be on there, I guess, because it's under war, and you don't know if anything, Syrians are, Syrians and the Yemenis right now are the people who need to get out of this country the most, right? To try to get away from the war. But that's then a whole other debate of, should we let immigrants from from these countries, and how many we should let in. But just what I'm trying to say here is, they have a travel ban. I understand the necessity of it, but why from here? Here's really another interesting one. I love this one. It really talks about it. This is locations where people support tweeting from ISIS. Support ISIS tweeting from these places. #1 is Saudi Arabia. Look at this, by a huge margin, almost double the last guy in line. They have, I don't know how many I don't know how many. There's got to be more tweets than this in the whole year, but the number that of tweet. Oh, okay. So out of 20,000 tweets that they've, the sample size is 20,000. Out of 20,000 tweets that they've gathered from every country, 866 in Saudi Arabia were positive, pro-ISIS. In Syria, the next one is Syria. Of course, that makes sense because that's where they're in. That's where they're fighting from. So in Iraq too, because that's where also they're in. And so they're tweeting out of these countries. Of course, there's going to be a lot of positive tweets from here. The United States, that's kind of interesting. And again, I don't see nice red-blooded Americans, good people supporting ISIS at all in America. These are immigrants that this list is being made from. But I promise you that this people from this category who are in America and support ISIS are, a lot of them might come from Saudi Arabia. I can put money on that one, I would say. Or maybe even Egypt, or, other countries like that. Which is interesting is look at Tunisia, even though they have put forth the most number of fighters supposedly to ISIS. Remember, those numbers were just for ISIS, not, or I'm sorry, maybe it wasn't just for ISIS, but even though they had the most number of people that went, not a lot of people in the country supported comparatively. Look, Iran is not even on here. Neither is Sudan and Somalia, but Somalia and Sudan are going under, problems from Al-Shabaab and that kind of thing. In Sudan is, they have an issue right now. There's a civil war going on in Sudan, so that's an issue. But you guys see what I'm coming from. The list might be a good idea, but who they have in here makes absolutely no sense. Now tell me what you think about this. Tell me what you think about this list, and if you agree with it, and maybe leave me a comment, follow me, and leave a like. And if you support this channel, leave me a like and follow me on Steam as well. Thank you guys for listening. Bye-bye.